Hi, my name is Fabiana, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be making an Earflap beanie. To make this beanie I'm going to be using these three different colors here. You only need a little bit of each one of them, around 50 grams of each would be enough. And I'm going to be making a size for adults on my Sentro 48. If you want to make for kids, you can make this same beanie on your Addi 46 and also on your Sentro or Brim 40 if you want, if you're make for babies. But for today I'm making on my Sentro 48. Because it's a one layer beanie on the top, I prefer using the worsted weight yarn. Okay, so this yarn, all of them, they have 100 grams and 200 meters, so you know. This is a quick tutorial that's gonna take you around 2 hours, not more than that, okay? Let's get into it. So I'm going to start this beanie with scrap yarn, and I'm going to be casting on like I normally would for a beanie, but I'm not gonna be casting on all the stitches, just to make the brim part of it, because this beanie will be open on the neck. So we're gonna be casting on only 45 stitches. Stitch number 45, you can stop here. After this is underneath that piece here. And then I'm going to be making 3 or 4 rows with the waste yarn. Because I don't think I have enough for an extra row, I'm just gonna remove this here. As you can see, I have 3 needles left without the yarn. So if you are working on a Sentro 40, do the same thing also on the Addi 46, okay? You always need 3 needles in the middle. Otherwise, when you make this stitch, this one's gonna open if you have only one left, okay? So we need 3 always. And now I'm going to put my first yarn in right in front of that first needle that has the yarn, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail just in case I need to bind off stitches or something like that later. And now to make this brim, I'm going to be making now 44 rows this way on the panel mold, okay? Make sure you work always on with the tube mold selected on your knitting machine. So make these 44 rows that we are making for the brim, and then I'll come back with you to explain how to fold the brim as you make this beanie, okay? Now, after I made my 44 rows, I made 42 actually, and this is gonna be doubled here. So this is the size that's gonna have. If you want it a little longer, you can make this a little longer as well. And for this technique that I'm gonna show you guys right now, you can use this same technique on the tubular mold of your knitting machine as well, okay? It doesn't need to be on the panel like I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is, as I pass through each stitch, as you can see, the needle is open, and I'm gonna put this really close for you guys to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little piece here, which is the loop of the first stitch that I have, and I'm going to place this inside each one of the hooks and put it way down on the bottom. And then I'm going to make this stitch. So the yarn has to be in, the 2 loops have to be way down right on the bottom of that needle. And I'm gonna show you in another angle so you guys can see it better with my phone. So this is the position that the 2 loops have to be. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing to each one of these loops. You can grab a hook if you want. I'm going to grab a hook, so put the hook through and then and then just put the next loop in, and then that second loop came up, so just make sure they are way down on the bottom as you make the stitch. Okay, down the bottom, it's down the bottom, and then I'm going to grab the third one. Put this two on down. This is gonna be a very slow. And as this one comes up, put it down the bottom and then grab that next stitch. So the next needle, if it's right in the middle and not on the top, it's much better to do that. I just realized, because I'm making this for the first time, guys. So let's go. Let's keep cranking. Also, always make sure you're grabbing the last loop. If you pull this way, you can see this is the last loop, and that's the loop that's gonna, you have to put in the needle. Put in there in the next needle. Make sure they're all down on the bottom, and then just keep making this row. And what this row is gonna do is it's gonna join both parts together, and that way create this brim that we want for the bottom. So all we have to do here is just close this by seaming it later. So I'm going to keep doing this all the way to the other side, and then when I get to the end here, I'm gonna show you what we have to do next, okay? So I'm getting here to the end of this, and there's a few tricks I want to show you. As you're making it and you pulling the stitches from the other side to put in the needles, before you make this one, just try to put your hook through the next one, because this is gonna get really tight. As you can see, it's stretching the fabric. So in order to grab the stitch easier, just grab it before you make this stitch, and then just pull down these two stitches and put the next stitch in the next hook. Also be careful not to put the scrap yarn, and use a contrasting color that's more contrasting than mine, because it was just a little hard to see. These are the two little things that I want to say about it. And then I'm grabbing here my stitch just before the last one. I'm gonna put it here. As you can see, I have to stretch a lot to put it through. Make sure you don't put that scrap yarn in, because you need to remove it after. I'm going to leave this last stitch open. As you can see, guys, it was a little hard to put this last stitch through, so what I'm doing now, just cast on these remaining stitches here. So I'm going to be making this last one here, and then I'm going to put the yarn on the back of this next one, in the front of this one, and on the back, like if I was casting on, to start working on the tube mold, okay, to finish the rest, the top part of my beanie. So as you go, make sure the stitches are on the bottom, are sitting on the bottom of the needle, because remember there was a little bit of tension because of the part that we just made. And then just make this row. And I'm gonna make one more. And then I'm going to add an extra color here. So this is how our folded brim looks like. I'm gonna show you a little later, but it's pretty nice how you can do that. I saw this in another video. Well, anyway, now I'm going to add the second color that I'm going to change now. And if you are, if this is too complex for you, just change to another color and don't make this part, these two next rows that I'm going to do, because it's a little advanced. I'm going to make one more here. Then I'm going to just drop this yarn and work with both of them to make color changes here. I'm going to be working one color to each needle. So I'm going to put the first color on the back, the second in the front, and then swap. Make sure you leave a tail so this doesn't fall after. And then swap the whole way. I have another project, another beanie where I explain this properly and very slow that I'm going to leave the link at the end of this video for you guys to see. If you want a full tutorial on color changes this way, you can. Now I'm going to go all the way to this needle one, and then I'm gonna go for 2 with this color here, just so I change the color to the opposite color. So where we had the loop in white, we're gonna have the loop in this rose red, and the same way around. So where we had rose red, we're gonna have the cream this time. And now after this last needle we made with this color, you can cut it. And then we're going to keep making the rose with only this color here. So make sure the loops get made here and everything's really tight and nice. Pull if you need. So now I'm going to make 40 more extra rows after this scrap yarn here. So make sure you count the rows. And if you have a row counter, put it back to 0 as soon as you turn it into the tube mode here, okay? So I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. And I want 40, so it's 34 by 2. I'm going to make 16 rows on the pink color. This first row might be a bit too tight, but all the other ones, they're gonna be, because the yarn is stretched, but the next ones are gonna be easier to make. And now I'm going to make the same color change that I made before, but with this brown. So make that last needle. Add the brown color in the first one or the second one, doesn't really matter. Leave a tail there. And then start swapping the colors with the brown. Guys, so I'm going to, with this brown color, I'm going to repeat the same 2 rows here we made before. And then I'm going to finish my 40 rows with the brown color, okay? And then I'll come back with you just to put all this beanie together and show you how to seam the sides of it. When you finish the 40 rows, and this is the double brim that we have. You can see here. Now I'm going to cut a little tail so I can cinch this part here. Just cut a tail. So cut a tail, put your needle through, drop it in the middle, make this last needle in the white, and then a full row without yarn. Stop right here before the tail, the needle that has the yarn, and then remove all the stitches with this same yarn, because we are going to cinch this part of it. Guys, I always ask, it would be really great if you could like this video and share, leave me your comments, because it makes a lot of difference for me when you guys comment, and it gets showed. YouTube just shows my videos to more people that would like this content as well, so I really appreciate that. So we can have a look at this beauty. So this is what it's looking like at the moment. I love this color work, guys. What do you think? I love this color work. Okay, so I'm going to remove the machine from here, and then I'm going to finish this beanie with you guys. So after you remove the beanie off the machine, I just tried it on, and I'm gonna show you guys how it looks like. And I think it was a little too slouchy for me on the top, so I'm going to remove a few rows, okay? So instead of 40 rows to the top, I'm going to have around 30. So I thought this was a bit too much. I don't know, I want this color work to show. So make with 30 if you don't want it slouchy. So to remove these rows, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count the number that I want to the top. 2, 4, 6. On the row number 7, after the color work, I'm going to add scrap yarn in a very contrasting color in every single stitch, like I'm doing here. If you are not sure, just count the V's, 2, 4, 6 on V number 7. And just add scrap yarn so you can unravel these extra rows that we made here. If you are happy with the beanie being a little slouchy, you just cinch it, just go to the next step, next chapter on this video. After you put all the stitches on this waste yarn here, we are going to remove, and now we can unravel, because the stitches are gonna be secured this way. You can use this technique as well when you make, let's say you make the sleeves of a sweater and they are too long, or you made a beanie and you think you have too many rows. You can just unravel this way. It's a really easy technique. Okay, so from here, I'm going to cut a little tail again, and then we are going to bind off the same way we did before. Let's cut this here because it went in the middle there. Okay, so after this one, here we are going to just put it through with the other color so we can cinch a smaller beanie. So put through all the loops that you have here, and then we can cinch a smaller beanie now. And now you can just remove this and then cinch it. Much better size, hey guys. It was way too big before. So if you do this again, I would probably make less rows here, but I'll share everything in this pattern here that I'm going to leave down in the description below. It's gonna be on my website, so I'm going to share the right number of stitches of rows that you need to make just this one a little shorter so the works show better. And then just cinch, make a knot as you do for any other beanie here on this side. Make sure these are all tied. You can make a knot with these two here, they're close by. And then just hide these tails as well. Let's see if I can hide this way. I normally use a crochet hook for this. Let's see, sometimes it shows on the front and I don't like it. And then we can also remove this waste yarn. Now with this yarn here that I left on the beginning, I'm going to start making the mattress stitch in this first stitch that runs through here. So just put it through these first two back loops here. And then the same on the other side. Here and here. Then pull through to close and then into the next two, and then the next two, all the way down to the bottom there. To close this side, so I'm gonna make a knot here and just hide inside. Make a knot and just hide inside this way, pull it. Now remember that 3 stitches we had to bind off later. Here is the yarn that runs through them. I'm just gonna cut it in half. Remove it from here. And then I'm just gonna make a knot with this one. Like this. We'll hide these tails after. Put the hook through this next stitch. Just gonna make sure they don't come out. So these are the 3 stitches we made last, if you remember them. Okay, so I'm going to bind them off, starting with this one. Just pull the yarn through, and then into the next one, yarn over, pull through, then into the next one, pull through. Make sure they are not too tight because these are the next stitches. Yarn over, pull through, and now let's try to hide this thing here. And now all I have to do is with this same yarn here, just mattress stitch the other side. Okay, so I'll just finish this and then I'll come back with you just to show you how it looks like. Now for this braid, we're going to cut 43 inches or 1 meter 10 centimeters and 10, or 43 inches, 2 times, okay? Because I want 4 strands to make this a little thicker. And then fold them in half, and with a bigger hook, put through a few stitches right on the edge here. Put through a few stitches and pull it through. Then put one through the other one and pull again. And then just separate the strands if you prefer this way. If you prefer it all mixed, you can do that too. And then when they both have the same size, just make a knot. I'm gonna cut a little longer here, just because I did this on the other side. I'll have to do the same here. I don't know if I like it or not, but that's what I did. And now I'm going to make the pom-pom, attach it, and I'll come back with you just to show you guys how this looks like. It looks so cute, doesn't it? So this is how the beanie looks like after I added the braids and the pom-pom. I mixed all the colors on the pom-pom and I really like it. And I'm gonna show you here how it fits. I'm actually really happy with the fitting of this beanie. I didn't think it was gonna look so nice just because of the size of the brim and everything. And so if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, let me know down in the description. I think this is a great pattern for markets as well. I'm gonna leave the link for this pattern down in the description below with the changes that I did on the number of rows, okay? So you guys can get it there. And also I wanna wish you all Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think my next tutorial is gonna be the next year. So I see you in the next tutorial.